Light as a feather, stiff as a board. Light as a feather, stiff as a board.
We are the weirdos, mister.
Black as night, erase death from our sight. White as light, mighty hectate make it right.
I myself am strange and unusual. Cast a circle, spark some incense, and grab a cup of tea, because it's time for the Cousins Coven podcast. I'm Sharon.
And this is Wendy. Welcome back to the Coven, you guys.
So, Wendy, I am scared and excited, but I don't know if you heard about this movie news, but it's official that they are rebooting The Craft.
Nuh-uh. Really?
Yeah.
I had no clue. No clue.
I don't even know how I feel about this, because I think it might have a continuation element to it. It might have the Robin Tooney, maybe is her last name, the girl who played Sarah. She could be reprising her role, and maybe it's about a younger generation, or they're just remaking that exact same thing again, but in a modern time, which I'm like, everyone loves the 90s nostalgia. No.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Oh my gosh.
So yeah.
Okay, that's weird.
It is. And they want to have a female director because everything is trying to be politically correct right now. And they think that, you know, a witch movie should be made by a woman, which honestly, I think the guy, Andrew Fleming, did great on the first one. So, okay. Either way is fine with me.
It'll be very, very interesting to see how they take on it. It's kind of like when they decided to redo Charmed. I was really hesitant to watch it, but I actually like the TV show. So maybe, the Charmed reboot. So maybe I'll like this Craft one.
Yeah, if it's like building upon that and making a fun, cool witch movie, then this could be so fun. Mm-hmm. And I'm down. Really no telling until it comes out. And since it's just now getting started, who knows how long this is going to take. So if I need more news, I'll update you. But it's probably going to be a couple years.
Oh my gosh. I'll be interested to see who they cast.
Definitely.
I want them to bring back Nancy.
Right? Oh, they could go visit her in the crazy home. Or maybe she's like better now and she's living on the beach and just like a normal woman. That'd be cool.
That'd be cool.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And they have to go to her for help.
Right. Or she owns a shop.
Yes.
Takes over for that lady who had the magical shop
Yeah, and I would love to see, like, honestly, a dude witch, like a young boy getting into it. He could be part of the group. Switch it up.
Yes, yeah. I mean, they tried to do that. Remember that movie they did, The Covenant? They tried to do that, but it wasn't anything on the level of The Craft.
Yeah, I didn't get too much into that, but I think if for The Craft, you know, you could add a guy in here, too.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
So, we'll see.
Very cool. Yeah, we'll see. Oh, you know what? I do have something I wanted to talk about really quick, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
So I had a UFO sighting this week.
What?
On Friday.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. I was at work. It was middle of the day. I mean, it was like 4:55 in the afternoon. And so I got to tell you that I've been at my job a long time, to just kind of give a little back story. Like, I've been at my job for almost 11 and a half years. And in the office that I work at, I've probably been in this specific office for 1.5 to 2 years. And so we have these big giant windows, and I'm up on the 3rd floor of the building, which is the top floor. And they kind of overlook the city of Salem, and it's really nice. My office is really nice, I should say. And so I've got these big windows. I see stuff out there all the time, you know, birds, bald eagles. I've seen swarms of bugs. Seen all sorts of things. Like, I know what everything looks like that flies out there, because, you know, I'm at work all day long, and sometimes you got to take a break and stare out the window. So
how you pass an office day.
Yeah, that's how you pass an office day. So something caught my eye, and I saw this object, and it was kind of like, it was bigger, much bigger than a bird, but smaller than a plane. And it was about the size of a helicopter cockpit, but without any tail and without any wings. Mm-hmm. It was just this ball. And so it was like, oh, is that a balloon or something? Because the sun was shining and it was reflecting off of it, so you could tell it was a metallic object.
Oh, a weather balloon.
I know. So I was like, is that a weather balloon? So I jump up and I go running to the window because my desk sits at the back of the office. And so I run up to the windows and I've got my head pressed up against it and I'm like looking out like a weirdo. I'm sure my coworkers were like, what is she doing?
Right.
Then I'm looking out and I'm like, okay, I see it. And then it flies in front of some clouds. There were just these kind of whitish, grayish clouds, maybe not very big. They weren't large clouds. They were just kind of smaller clouds. And it flew in front of them. And the speed of it slowed down once it got in front of the clouds. And it kind of camouflaged into the clouds. And then as soon as it passed the clouds, there was like this flash of light that blipped and it was gone.
What? That is so cool.
Yeah, I was like, I just saw a UFO. And I was like, why didn't I have my phone? Why didn't I have it?
Dude, that's, even if you had your phone, can you imagine? Like, you can't even take a good picture of the moon, I feel like, with cell phones.
That's true.
Let alone, like, a little craft. So that whole experience lasted, like, maybe under a minute?
I think it was more like 2 minutes, maybe, or
2
less.
minutes. Okay.
Yeah,
That's pretty
less.
amazing.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I was like, oh my gosh. Oh yeah, by the way, I forgot to tell you I saw a UFO.
Yeah, of course.
Super cool. Just had to share.
They're just like, we're here for you, Windy. It's your alien brethren.
Yeah, I'm like, take me away from work.
It's pretty creepy. What do you think that they would be doing hovering midday over Salem, Oregon?
I know, right? I was like, why were they here?
I mean, of course, we're going to be like, it's aliens, guys, nothing else.
Yeah.
It's not an Amazon package. It's definitely not the government.
Right. I mean, I've seen some really crazy things out my window. Like one day I saw somebody was flying 3 drones at once with these lights on them. And so I was like, so I know what a drone looks like of all sizes because I've seen them. And, like I've run to the window before and been like, oh my God, UFOs. Oh man, drones.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like that you're just so ready. You got your eyes on the skies.
Yeah. I mean, that's not what I'm doing all day. So if any of my coworkers are listening, just so you know, I'm not like staring at the window all day long, but in between cases. Okay. Are we ready to move on?
Yes.
Okay. So today we're talking about Reiki, but first it's time for cauldron topics. All right, in the cauldron today we have Jupiter retrograde. So for those of you who are new to the magical world, retrograde is where a planet appears to be moving backwards or opposite in its solar system or whatever system it's at. This movement will affect astrological signs just like any heavenly body affects other planets in the universe. So you guys, welcome to Jupiter retrograde.
Yes.
This year, yes, right? Yeah, because
I'm like, what does this mean? I've only ever looked into Mercury retrograde. Like, I've never heard about Jupiter retrograde.
Right. So Mercury is like one of the worst retrogrades we can have, where Jupiter is the opposite.
Oh.
So right. So this year alone, I don't know if you guys know this, but there are 9 retrogrades. So it's like we have back to back retrogrades.
And I'm assuming that's not common?
No.
Okay. I'm like, I don't know what a normal amount of retrogrades is for a year.
Yeah. So I think that typically what I was reading is we usually have 1 to 3.
Wow.
So 9. This is a very big year.
I like that. Little clusters of 3s.
Right? Yes. Clusters of 3s. So the Jupiter retrograde starts April 10th and goes all the way to August 11th. That's 123 days. So let's see how this is going to affect our lives and how we can use it to our benefit. Well, the good news, like I said, is that the planet Jupiter is considered to be gracious. And for the majority of us, this is going to give us luck and abundance. So let's take a look at how we can get the most from what this wonderful turn of events is going to bring. Typically during this touch of Jupiter, we should be focusing on internal issues and on the self. While all of this is going on, try not to neglect those people around you and your outside life, including your job. Use the energies of Jupiter to look at different areas of your life and take a look at your inner self, your morals, your values, things that are important to you, and find ways to bring balance into your life. So when you're looking at those morals and values and your job and your relationships, try to find a way that you can balance all of that into one equal life. And ways that you can do that would be to work on making changes in a positive way by contemplating ways that you would like to live and how you see yourself. It's a good time to make lists and reevaluate all aspects of your life. For things you wish to change, do it, but do it in a positive way. It's the perfect time to grow and learn. If you've been thinking about taking a class or learning something new, it's a great time to start this new venture. If you meditate, it's a good time to take a little extra time during your sessions and ask the important questions. If you don't meditate, it's a really good time to start doing that. If you are intuitive or have empathic abilities, expect these abilities to be magnified, like by 5 or 6 times more than what you're used to.
Nice.
So find ways to use this to your advantage. It's a great time to do some manifesting spell work as well. So just when you think Mercury retrograde has you down, never fear, Jupiter is here.
Nice. I love it.
Yes. I'm like really excited about this one. I was like, what? There's a retrograde that is positive?
I know, and it's honestly such a shame that we only ever really hear Mercury. Like, I've never once heard anyone talk about the amazing benefits of Jupiter, really.
Right, because I think it's because it's easy to focus on the negative of a situation and how it affects us so negatively, but I decided that on this one I would focus on just the positive aspects. I think that there were a few signs that it may affect negatively, but it depends on how, but even just like Mercury. So I learned this year from Mercury that even though it can kind of affect Pisces in a negative manner, I used it to my advantage. So I think it only affects you negatively if you allow it to.
Right. I agree with that because it's easy to see that stuff's going awry around the retrograde and then you're like, the retrograde. And then maybe just the more you add on to it, the worse it gets.
Right. So instead, just think of all the things that you could be doing instead of the things that are messing up your life.
Right. I think that working with the astrological signs is a great way to do practical everyday magic in your life. And they have lots of great like calendars and even planners that you can buy that'll give you a heads up on what the signs are, the sun and the moon signs, and how that could affect you and where the planets are at. And it'll even give you guidance on like, you shouldn't travel during this time here, from here and here. Don't do surgeries. And I knew a woman who specifically would schedule her surgeries based on the planets, and like every time she would recover really well, and the doctors would be super surprised and ask her like, what are you doing? Well, how is this going so well for you? And she just was like, I planned it around, the planets and blah, 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 which is interesting. It's just kind of like how we were talking about how you can plant based on the moon phases and then how that helps your plants grow.
Mm-hmm. That's so cool. I love it. Oh, that's so amazing. Just getting positive vibes through me now.
Yes, something maybe we should start doing more, because I'm not like a plan ahead type of person based on the planets, but maybe I should be.
Right, exactly. You're like, how can I use this to my advantage?
Mm-hmm. All right, well, anything else you want to add to Jupiter and retrograde?
No, I think I'm good. Let's wrap that up.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and move on to our main research topic today, which is Reiki. Do you say Reiki or Reiki?
I say Reiki.
Reiki? Okay, just making sure. And Reiki is an ancient Asian tradition which an individual has an understanding of the human body energy system, and through this understanding, a practitioner can use their positive energy to heal others, as well as help and teach others to heal. In Japanese, Reiki is 2 different words put together. Rei means spirit, miraculous and divine. Ki means energy or consciousness. Reiki energy is the chi, or life force energy that runs through each of us and is directed and transferred during a Reiki session.
Yay. Oh, so beautiful. Reiki is so beautiful to me. So what is Reiki actually? Well, we are all part of an energy grid or energy field where chi energy flows through our physical bodies, between us, and in the space surrounding us. This energy field that we live in defines how energy flows to us and away from us. Our physical world is made up of particles of matter, atoms, and molecules that are constantly vibrating vibrating and in motion. Even objects that appear to be solid are actually trillions of atoms, which are not solid at all, but matter in motion. Even where we cannot see matter, we are still surrounded by an energy field, flowing through the energy field in invisible chi energy or Reiki energy. And what's interesting about that to me is if you think of every object, that includes the desk that my laptop is on, that includes my car, everything has energy.
Of course.
So we have to, but a lot of people don't realize that. They just look at it, oh, that's a solid object.
I feel deja vu right now. I'm like, I feel like we've talked about this. This is so crazy. I don't know, but it's just like deja vu. Yeah, some people definitely don't see it that way, but I don't know if it's just my pop culture conditioning. I'm like, yes, everything has the
That's
force.
right.
It's all in us.
It's
like
with
it's
you.
just so easy for me to be on board with that.
Sure. Sometimes without knowing it or without being tuned to Reiki specifically, we are still using and directing this energy. This is the energy that manifests physical things or experiences into our existence. It's the energy directed by magic, law of attraction, or positive thinking. Some Reiki masters will tell you that Reiki is a special type of energy that's not readily available to all, but rather something that you can only gain through Reiki attunements. Others believe that this energy is already around us and that Reiki attunements can give you a special channel or connection to the spirit world that will enhance this energy, magnifying its strength and directing it in a specific manner for healing, protection, and well-being. Reiki channeling is a specific channeling of the Reiki energy, and once a person has been given an attunement or an initiation to this energy, they become a channel and can work with a spirit to direct this energy to heal themselves and others.
Okay, so now that we covered kind of the basics of the concepts of what Reiki is, let's talk a little bit about the history. So where Reiki originated from has been debated for years, and it is an ancient healing art that was probably practiced in ancient Egypt and even before that in Atlantis and Lemuria. There have been stories for centuries that tell of people who were able to use special abilities to heal others. There are some texts which claim that the Chinese discovered Reiki. In 329 BC, there were Taoist meditation texts written regarding inner training. Even the stories the Bible tells about Jesus healing sounds like a form of Reiki. In the spiritual community, there is one person who stands out and is said to be the first Reiki master. Mikao Usui, who was a Buddhist from Japan, is considered the founder of modern Reiki. He harnessed his healing modality into a system of symbols and hand positions in 1922. He lived from 1880 to 1940 and began teaching the practice of Reiki in the 1920s. His teachings are widely used all over the world still to this day, including everyday doctors' offices, and in his lifetime, Mr. Usui taught over 2,000 people. Although some claim Reiki was based on the Bible and Jesus' healing hands, this is untrue. That was only to make Reiki more appealable to the Western world and Christians. Miyako's teachings were based on a book called Tantra of the Lightning Flash. This was a Buddhist Sanskrit text written over 2,600 years ago.
One of the things that I found about Mikao is that he had these 5 principles of Reiki, which are great words to live by, and I kind of wanted to share them with you. So just for today, don't get angry. Just for today, don't worry. Just for today, be grateful. Just for today, work hard. And just for today, be kind to others. Because if you live those words every single day, if you're just saying just for today, you're kind of living in the moment. You're saying just for today, I'm going to do this, but then you're actually doing it every single day.
That's true. Taking it kind of a day at a time and being in that present moment and setting some really great affirmations.
Mm-hmm. So let's kind of go into training, how you do some Reiki training. So prior to starting any training, you have to go through the attunement process, which this is debatable. Some people say you have to do it. Some people don't. I don't think I did. I know I haven't, actually, I should say. But it doesn't mean, just because you don't go through this specific training doesn't mean that you can't still be attuned, in my mind. I mean, like we were saying at the beginning, it's like, it depends on who you're studying with and who you're studying under.
Right.
So what this is, yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I'm just saying, same like we always talk about, I guess, what works for you may not work for another person, but these are just some basic concepts on how you could get to that attunement.
Right, correct. So what this essentially means is that you have to bring harmony into all areas of your life and kind of live by it. Some say that can be done through chakra alignment, which can be a beneficial thing, which we've talked about before, I think. In theory, it's easier said than done. And in today's society, we have so many distractions, and working on oneself itself is much more difficult and potentially not as fun, like as if you were binge watching a whole season on Netflix. So, but most of us would rather cry from a lost character from our favorite TV show than deal with loss or past pains inside of ourselves. I'm super guilty of that. I'm so guilty of that. Electronics can be an addiction that you need to detox from the same way you would need to detox from a drug. So in a sense, when you can use Reiki as kind of that, or chakra alignment or meditation as a way to detach from those electronical devices.
I think it's hard. Like, I've gotten really used to just having my phone with me at all times.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Because sometimes you're just listening to music, but I'll go into airplane mode a lot if I don't want to be disturbed for a certain amount of time. And then at least I'm just listening to some Reiki music or not Reiki, but meditation music while I'm meditating. And I'm not getting any sort of other pop-ups to distract me.
Yeah.
In the ancient teachings of Reiki, the master will attune you, and there are specific attunement ceremonies. In these ceremonies, your chakras are completely aligned, which will then start a chain of events that your body will do on its own. It's basically a mind, body, and spirit detox session. Prior to the attunement, there are things you must do. Thankfully, the master gives specific ways you can prepare for your attunement. So 3 days prior to the attunement, you need to do all of these things. Keep in mind, this is just 3 days prior to the attunement. After the attunement, you may not even want to go back to your old ways, but you can if you want to. So they say that you should cut out all meats, even fish. Many of the meats out there are filled with hormones and harsh chemicals, and that's a difficult thing for most people to do. But if you're already a vegan, you're just one step closer. You'd want to start a water or juice fast. I know that 3 days of fasting can be difficult even for someone who is trained, but this fast will help your body to start resetting itself. As I said earlier, most of the foods today are filled with things we are not even aware of. Sometimes even when you grow them yourself, the seeds may already be filled with chemicals. However, even if you just choose a vegetarian diet rather than a fast, it's going to get your body ready for the process. You're going to want to minimize or eliminate the amount of coffee and caffeine that you take in. Caffeine can cause adverse effects to the nervous and endocrine system. For years, doctors have been telling us that caffeine's not good for us. This is a difficult one for me because of tea. Like, I love tea and most of it's caffeinated. But at least
I would think a lot of this stuff is hard, honestly, because not many people are going to be vegetarians. Like, I don't think you have to be a vegetarian to do Reiki.
Probably not. Yeah, because I'm not a vegetarian and I do Reiki. At least 1 day prior to the attunement, you must be caffeine free. So if we're just talking about 1 day without caffeine, I think I could probably do that. But since you know this is coming, you can always start a week or two prior to the attunement. That way you're cutting down on any withdrawals that you might be having. And that way you're not going completely cold turkey, because for some people you get these headaches, you get some people, it depends on how much caffeine they normally have, you can get sweats. There's so many adverse effects from just going cold turkey on caffeine.
Yeah, some people can't even do like no soda for a day.
Right. During this time that you're preparing, you need to say no to alcohol. For some, this is really difficult, especially for those of us who drink wine after a long day of work. I believe in you and you can do it.
Whoop, whoop.
Okay, no chocolate. Pretty much no sweets in general.
Boo.
I know, right? Sugar really can do a number on your body, and most people don't even realize it until they've been removed from the sweet life for a while, which I love sweets. Love them. So it's a hard one.
Me too. Like, chocolate is my jam. Like, I don't need a freaking glass of wine after work, but I could always use a dark chocolate bar.
Right. Or a bowl of ice cream.
Yes.
Okay, so let's talk about smoking. For some people, they are avid smokers, be it the chronic or cigarettes, and for some, this is how you get through the day. However, if at all possible, do not do it on the day of attunement. You want your mind fresh, clear, and open. Meditate for an hour a day for at least a week prior to the attunement. This will help open your mind, body, and soul up for that attunement that you're going to receive. I know that an hour a day is a lot, but after day one, you will notice a huge difference in your life. So use this time to really clear out your mind, focusing on all the positivity.
That's a lot too. I could even recommend for newbies into meditation, start small, like 5 minutes a day, and then 10 minutes, then 20. Just add a little bit up, because you could get up to that point.
Yeah.
But it could be intense. I'm scared. An hour.
I feel like you have to prepare for that. Like you have to really like take weeks in advance to prepare for getting up to an hour a day. Okay. So Next would be, which we kind of talked about a few minutes ago, but reducing or eliminating anything related to media. This means TV, news, which we all know news is kind of a big negative. Social media, which we all know can be draining at times. Music is all right as long as it's in the positive vibes. I'm not saying that we should be listening to strong lyrics like swear words constantly or any negativity about killing. I think during this time I like to stick to the sounds of nature and music without words.
That's smart. Yeah, no words. Maybe just mantras at the very least, like positive.
Right. Or ohms or something.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. So that's about for one day?
I think that was for 3 days.
I'm sorry.
3 days.
3 days?
Yeah, 3.
Ooh, I love TV.
I do too.
I could do without social media. That's not a problem. Music I could do. It would be the TV, but I think I would need it. Like that would be a good idea to do.
Yeah, just once in a while. I like it's easiest when you're on vacation or something. Like if you know that you're going to be away from home, you're out doing other things instead of watching TV.
You just gave me like a mini panic attack because I was like, when I'm on vacation, Game of Thrones is going to be back. I can't not watch TV. That's only a few weeks away.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Okay, so also 3 days prior, I guess this next one you should be doing all the time anyways, but it says work out and spend time outside of the home. Go on a walk, go to the beach, the mountains, a park. Or if you're lucky enough to have a yard, just go out there. You can take a walk around your neighborhood. The goal here would be to get the mind going and the blood flowing and just kind of, staying healthy and being honest with yourself about nature, like sucking in all that nature.
Yes, that really recharges me and like refocuses me.
Right, exactly. Then it says it's also a good time for you to look for synchronicities and journal write about them. Try to find out what's being told to you. So a few episodes back, we discussed synchronicities. Can say that the more that you meditate and start becoming in tune with the universe, the more these little hints will pop out to you. And you'll want to start journal writing them down. Not just that, but also journal writing your everyday life so that way you're getting out all these negative issues or maybe even just realizing all of the positive that you have in your life already.
Definitely gratitude is a big thing. Even if it's just like a few items a day you're thankful for, like I'm thankful for those synchronicities, you'll keep seeing them more.
Right, exactly. And last but not least, let go of your stuff. Declutter your life and your mind. This may mean that you need to let go of past anger, pain, sadness, whatever it may be, but it also may be you just simply need to get rid of some shoes. So whatever it is, declutter your life, whether it's your mind or your closet.
Agreed. I've been slowly doing this. Every day I feel like I go into my closet, I'm like making this giant bag ready to just donate.
Nice. Yeah. I'm getting ready because it's spring again. So I'm getting ready to work on the project I was working on last spring was my garage. And I think this year I'm going to finally finish it. Which,
yes,
nobody else out there knows this, but our family is a little bit of hoarders. We're hoarding in a way, and I have those hoarder tendencies. So it's time to get rid of that junk that I don't need.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's so weird that you're saying that because like last week I was just thinking that, and then I had the opportunity to like go sell some of my stuff, and I was like, yes, perfect. Let's make room. And the more room I make for stuff, the more like cooler stuff I come by. So it's like, yeah, I got rid of 4 mugs, but I got a really cool unicorn mug, and it's replacing all those 4.
Right.
So I'll always love stuff, but I guess it's good to just like purge.
Let go. Yeah, purge. All right, so you guys, Reiki attunements open up an 8th chakra. The chakra is about 6 to 8 inches above and 2 inches forward from the crown chakra on your spiritual body. This chakra is your connection to the divine source. It is called an alpha chakra. After an attunement, you're going to go through the 3 levels or degrees of Reiki. And from what I understand, it is that you need to go through an attunement with each level, mostly because it is super easy to fall back into your old habits. And depending on who is around you and what we're going through in our lives, it's easy to fall back into the old ways, like not meditating every day because you're like, oh, I can just skip a day. And then before you know it, you haven't meditated in a month. So, or working out is the same way. It's like, oh, I'm just going to skip working out today. I'm going to skip walking. But then before you know it, 6 months has gone by. So
Yeah, I think we've all been there.
Yes, for sure. I think I'm there right now.
Yeah, just like totally exactly what I meant.
I'm just keeping it real.
But it's good to try.
Yes. I'm like, anybody else out there, don't beat yourself up. This is just life.
Right? We can't all be in attunement phase all the damn time, but we can certainly strive.
Right. Okay, so in most instances of Reiki, you must be initiated and taught each level by someone who already mastered all the levels. So I just wanted to talk here about the different levels there are. The first level is called Reiki 1, and it focuses on learning the history and meanings of Reiki, as well as learning how to perform self-healing and how to perform on someone else. The second level is called Reiki 2, and this is where you will learn the 3 symbols of Reiki. At this level, you will learn how to perform Reiki at a distance. So that means that you could be in your home healing somebody who's across the country. The third level is Reiki 3. This is typically a 2-part section. The first part is where you learn the Master Reiki attunement and the Master Reiki symbol. In part 2, you're going to learn how to train and teach others.
That sounds awesome.
I know, right? Essentially, a person can only train with someone who has been trained. Now, this is in order for it to be accepted. Like, you'll get this certificate if you train under somebody else. But I have to admit, that's not really how I learned Reiki. I'm just going to throw it out there and kind of tell you my experience. I'm very aware of how energy of the body works. I hope to one day train with a master, but for now, I'm going to continue to heal myself and my family. So I just kind of want to share a little about how I came across Reiki. It's a little complex, but one day I was thinking I would like to learn about it, and then I went to Goodwill and a book literally fell off the shelf onto my feet. It's kind of like the universe was like, okay, here you go. And so I picked up the book. I didn't know it was a Reiki book. It just fell off the shelf. I picked it up and I was like, this is about Reiki. I guess I'm going to get it. It was just a book that kind of taught the basics. It's called Reiki, the Healing Touch, and it's the 1st and 2nd degree manual. And it was by William Lee Rand. And it just kind of talked about the basics of Reiki. And me, I was like, oh my gosh, I definitely need to learn how to do this now. And then I spent years after that happened, I spent years meditating, strengthening my spirit and tapping into the energies of the universe, not just the universe, but the world as well. And there's something about the rhythmical energies all around us that for some reason I can tap into. I don't know if that's because I'm an empath or whatever. The power of using breathing techniques related to meditation correlates easily in my mind to not only the energies around us, but also the energies of the entirety of the universe. I can say that I'm nowhere close to being a master, but it's a goal I would love to reach someday. So hopefully one day I'll get there.
I think definitely if you set your mind to it, you can get there. Like, I feel like too, I should also add my background with Reiki just so anyone knows. I am just interested in it, and I have only read like 1 book. So I can't say I'm speaking from high authority, but I think that all of us do have the ability, like Wendy's saying, to tap into this energy and be more conscious of it. And I really do want to learn how to heal people around me. So I think that I can learn too, and I definitely want to go through training as well.
Oh, it's going to be so great. We should both do it together.
I know. It's just like, I've got to finish my yoga certification and then Reiki.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So in the book that I was reading, I did find an interesting section about how this correlates to working with spirit guides, Reiki guides, and angels. And as we've talked about before, we're all born with the main spirit guide that is assigned to us at birth and stays with us throughout our life. And we all have a guardian angel, or this is like the main accepted theory, I would say. And when you attune to Reiki, you are being attuned to your other spirit guides. And these are guides and masters that vibrate with the Reiki energy and wish to work with you for healing. They could be people who lived on Earth and practiced Reiki before, or they could be other entities that wish to work with you with this specific system. And you will probably be working with many different spirits in your Reiki healing, though some may come more often to you than others. I would assume like your main guide. And that to me just sounds really exciting and otherworldly, to be connecting with these beings and channeling and working with them. I don't know. How do you feel about that, Wendy?
Yes, absolutely. I think that spirit guides are a big part of that. Just like with meditation, they're going to come out and try to show you things. I think that because you and I are both in that Pisces empathic kind of thing, it's easy for us to gravitate towards our spirit guides. I've often thought about about asking other people what it's like for them. Do they also believe in those spirit guides?
Right? I love that you said that, because it said that people who are like more on intuitive level, they're going to be really sensitive to seeing those spirit energies. Like if you're more clairvoyant, like you said, so you can see or even feel their presence. So they could be receiving or hearing messages, or just feeling prompted to move like their hands in these different positions, or just receiving like the knowledge. And the hand positions that I found in the book were kind of interesting, like mostly like placing your hands on the back of your head or on your forehead, covering your eyes. Is that like stuff that you use as well, or do you just move your hands intuitively?
I just move my hands intuitively. I never touch the body, although I've heard from people that I've done the Reiki on that they think that I'm touching them, but I'm not actually. So it's just my energy touching their energy.
I've heard that, yeah, that you could sense it and pick up on it.
Yep.
Which is really interesting. I think I would feel better just kind of like maybe hovering over them in specific chakra areas and maybe going intuitively, but I'm excited to see how that feels.
Yeah, it's very different. And I think I can definitely tell you, I'm going to talk about my other experiences later, so I don't want to give too much away, but I can definitely tell you, the more that you do Reiki, the more that you grow, just like anything.
I did read too that like some people are going to feel that energy channeling through their hands, and maybe the client will feel it in return. Others, clients and or the practitioner, may not even feel the energy, but it's the same power and it's the same effective. It's like not less or anything, but that you could just be the type of person who isn't as receptive to feeling it. Not that that's a negative.
Right.
So really don't question the strength of the Reiki, and the strength of the Reiki is from the guides and that they're working with you, and you better believe in them, and the stronger you believe in them, the stronger it'll be.
That's great knowledge. I love that.
I was finding a lot of books on like Amazon Kindle that were about Reiki for animals, and I just think that's really awesome. I have a lot of cats myself, and at times they are sick, and so just to think that I could have the ability to help them through things and channel their energy made me really excited. When I tell some people that animals have chakras, they are like shocked. I don't know why. I'm like, yeah, they're creatures, like we should all have chakras.
Exactly. I gotta tell you that I used to do Reiki on my dog, who's recently passed away. When she started getting sick, I would do healing hands on her, and I'd also give her special massages and stuff, and I feel like that helped prolong her life.
That is so sweet, and I love that. And I really think that pets are super intuitive. Like, they are said, like, I read the Reiki books on them, or at least a section in the Reiki book on them, and it talked about how the animals are more intuitive than we are, and they can probably see spirits, and they're really channeled into that energy. And maybe if we're doing it on them and they walk away, it could be that they just feel like, okay, I got all the energy I need, like, later, but they're just super spiritual beings. Yeah, so that made me happy.
Well, animals, have you ever seen your animals look at stuff that's not there?
Oh, yes. Yeah, just the other day I was doing like a little ritual in my new space that I just created, and I was doing my own thing, but like I didn't cast a circle. I was going really, because like kind of like we talked about, like chaos magic, just doing whatever you want to do. So as I'm doing the ritual and invoking like gods and goddesses, I look over and my black cat Popo, I'm just such a cat person. I call him Popo because it's cuter. He's like looking at these little beings that aren't there and like swatting at them and like going in circles, and I'm just like, he's the cat that whenever I do magic, he's there. And so I'm like, what is going on over there? I don't know. And so I start casting a circle and just FYI, only good things are in this space.
Yeah.
And then like, as I'm done doing that, I look back and he's like at the other side of the room, like probably chasing whatever I just banished out. Like, I'm like, I don't know what it was.
Oh my gosh, that's so great. Oh, that's so great.
I don't know. I feel like it might have been like a little sprite energy or a little elemental energy, or maybe just some dust or a bug, but it was interesting.
Right. Very cool. I love that. What a cool experience.
Yeah. I definitely like to look at the animals and their experience with a magical lens at certain times.
Yes. Okay, so I came across this information too. More and more, I'm starting to see a trend of medical practitioners aligning themselves with a more natural homeopathic approach to medical practices, which makes my heart very happy. Here are some ways that Reiki can benefit for both the giver and the receiver. It can help with depression. It's very mood enhancing. It helps with anxiety. It can release stress. It can help relieve pain and tension in the body. Helps with sleep disorders, which can help with fatigue. It boosts your immune system and the body's ability to heal itself, which is a really big one for me. Like, I'm always asking my body to heal itself, and it seriously can. It eases your nausea and your stomach issues. It can relieve headaches, Reiki is also can help you work through past emotional and physical wounds, and it has the ability to reduce blood pressure. It helps release harmful toxins from the body, boosts your memory, and can help the overall quality of your life. Now, I know these benefits aren't just Reiki related. Like I know meditation can help with the same type of things. I also know that yoga can help with the same type of things. Just Reiki is another outlet that you can use besides those to help boost them even more.
I love it.
Just like medication. Yeah. And just like medications, maybe one medication doesn't work for the same person. And you can think that way about yoga and all of these kind of metaphysical techniques. They're not going to work for everybody. Maybe one works better for you than another one.
Mm-hmm. I definitely have so many questions about Reiki and your experiences and how you use it. So I would love to hear your stories on it. And I feel like I will be a little bit of an audience and just like question you when things pop up.
Yes, great. Okay, sounds good. So I do have some experiences I wanted to talk about. Basically, when I first started doing Reiki, when I read the book, I was like, okay, I'm going to try it out. So I just started small and I was trying on myself. At that point, I didn't feel my energy and I didn't feel my pain when I first started out. But I can tell you now, since I've been doing Reiki for probably 4.5, almost 5 years, I now have it to where not only can I feel the pain, I can feel the pain that I'm pulling out. I can feel it as I'm pulling it out and releasing it.
I would say, is that a benefit? Because now you feel pain. Is it like...
No, but I'm not keeping it. It's kind of like, so imagine this, you're laying in front of me on your stomach and I am getting the initial energy flowing by moving my hands back and forth. Usually my technique is to move them left to right until I get the energy really flowing. And then I have this thing where as I'm doing that, I'm starting to get connected to you. That back and forth movement allows me to start feeling your energies. And once I can feel the energy flowing and I know what your energy feels like versus the energy of my own, then I can kind of move my hands in a circular motion and feel exactly where the pain is at on the body. And to me, it feels just like this kind of like ball of anger almost.
Interesting.
I don't know how else to explain it. You can't really put a label on it, I guess. And I imagine that experiences are different for everybody, but this is how I'm going to explain it because it's my experience. So when I get to that point where it's at, I first will grab it as if it were a ball or a piece of string, and I imagine pulling it directly out of the body, and I'm just holding it in my hand and then releasing it. And as I release it, I imagine that it disintegrates and no longer exists. That way I'm not sending it out into the world for it to attach to somebody else. I'm banishing it and saying that it doesn't exist anymore.
Like dissolving.
Right, dissolving it. After that is done, I go back to the same spot and then I put my energy into it, healing the person right there. Now, that being said, I know that there are other things that I still need to learn. Like my next goal is to learn where that pain is at in the body, what kind of trauma potentially caused that pain, because I guess there are these links between what trauma you had,
yes.
be it in this life or a past life or something.
That's how I would explain the emotions tied there, the anger, the pain.
Right. So I do have one kind of cool story too. Like my daughter, she was born with scoliosis and we didn't know it. I took her to the doctor every year to get her checkup. They never really said anything about it. And then she had a huge growth spurt, and they did say that in her chart all along they saw a small curvature, but by the time she had this growth spurt, it became very bad, like to the point where they thought she might need some surgery. And she was a teenager, and at that time in her life, there were some things that were going on. Since I wasn't the only parent, I also had to have the other parents' feedback, and we decided that surgery wasn't the right way to go. As a group of people, we decided surgery is not right. They said that if we didn't do the surgery, she would most likely by her mid-20s be in a wheelchair and not be able to walk.
Wow.
And that's pretty intense, right?
Yeah, that's a lot of pressure on you.
Right. It was this realization that what else can we do do, it just was a lot of sadness. It made me hold a lot of sadness. I was like, her whole life is based on this one thing, you know, how her life goes. Do we just allow her to be in a wheelchair, or do we have the surgery that's invasive? You know, surgery is very invasive and it may not fix the issue. Mm-hmm. So maybe about 6 months after I started reading up on Reiki and practicing it, after I'd already practiced on myself, I said, you know what, I'm going to work on your back. So she was really excited. She laid down and we did probably 6 sessions over a year period. Going in, I would just be performing these Reiki sessions, and we're talking about 30 to 45 minute sessions. So it takes a lot out of you. But we did them, and then probably, I don't know, a year later, she got hurt on the job at work and she had to go in for an x-ray. And she told the doctor, she's like, I do have scoliosis. And the doctor said, no, you don't. Your back is perfectly straight. So now she's all better.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I think that that's good sometimes to not rush into surgery, but it's a delicate balance you have to play.
Right, because it depends on what it is.
That really worked out.
I'm not saying that Reiki can cure everything. Like I said, I don't think that Reiki's for everyone, but there's just something to be said, I guess, about this energy. And if you believe in it and you believe you can do it, I guess anything might be possible.
Heck, I just want to like help someone with a common cold, or even make them feel like happier. Like that would be my goal. So the fact that you could heal something that intensive is amazing.
Right. So then I was like, dang, what else can I do?
So what would you say, or would be your tips for someone like just trying to do Reiki on like somebody, like a friend?
Don't be discouraged and be prepared to take your time. Don't rush. Really prepare yourself ahead of time. So if you know that you're going to do a session, at least meditate a half an hour before. Really bring a lot of positivity into it. I like to also use stones. I have different sets of chakra stones that I also use, and I'll place on the body to allow an extra healing energy. And sometimes I'll also put clear quartz or rose quartz all around me in a circle. So I make this huge Reiki circle. That's what I call it. I don't know if that's what it is, but I'll make this big circle, and it's kind of like this protective thing.
Rose quartz is perfect since it's like giving off love and self-love and healing.
And then I always call upon my spirit guides. So I guess I would say call upon those guides. And for me, I don't know if I'm using different methods. Like in my mind, I might be pulling on my magical belief system to pull into the Reiki, so that I'm not necessarily calling on any 4 corners. I'm calling upon my guides, and I'm definitely doing some sort of protective circle around us. And so I don't know. I guess I would say basically, please don't lose patience. Don't give up. Keep trying, because one session may not be enough. It depends on the severity of the pain. Now, if it's a typical cold, I would say you could probably get rid of that fairly quickly and you'd see results quickly.
That's awesome. I was also reading another technique was like you could use the pendulums, like crystal pendulums, and you could kind of like how you were able to just intuitively feel the energy of where the pain was. You could use the pendulum and the way it's spinning to tell you if that chakra is cleansed or if it needs cleansing.
Ooh, that's nice.
Right. So basic scrying 101, you just have to figure out asking what your yes, what your no is, and the pendulum will actually change directions. And when you're going through the body, I guess if it changes, you know where to work the energy. So I thought that would be an easy technique, maybe for beginners.
Yeah, very cool. I like that. I like that. Yeah, because I know not everybody, I guess just like everything else, Reiki may not be for you as a user, but it's always great to try it out and see if it does work for you. It's a wonderful experience. So give it a try.
Yeah, I agree. And healing is such a beautiful thing. I think as humans, we could all collectively work on just trying to be kinder and healing, being better people. And I totally went on a tangent and forgot my point.
That's okay.
Basically, what I was trying to add to that is it seems like Reiki and being a witch could definitely play hand in hand if a lot of women in history who were healers were labeled as witches. And so it just seems like a natural progression of my witchcraft to start learning a direct healing ability next.
Nice. Oh, I love it. It's going to be great. I can't wait to hear how it works out for you. And maybe we could heal each other from far away.
Definitely. I think that'll be fun. And I've got to just read some more books and look into some sort of classes maybe.
Yeah.
I don't remember if I ever told my Reiki experience on podcast or not.
I don't think so.
My one Reiki session, I saw like a Facebook post about, I think it was like $20 Reiki sessions, or maybe it was even cheaper than that. But I remember thinking like, oh, that's super cheap. I want to go try it out. And it was like a little healing fair. And so I showed up and I immediately saw her table was just like in the middle of a convention floor, like all lit up, and people are just walking around and shopping. And I was like, instead of being like super just like awkward and weird and like being like, never mind, I'm like, nah, commit, you're doing this. So as soon as I lay down, and I think I even like covered my eyes with a blanket, I felt super able to just like not even worry about anyone else in the room and go into my own little space. And she did her like Reiki hand movements over me, and I don't remember how long it lasted, but it felt pretty cool. And then afterwards I had this really good energy, but she kept me like laying down at the end. She's like, okay, now flip over to your back, and then show me your back, I'll do your back, then I'll do your I guess flip over onto your stomach, I'll do the other side. And then at the end she does these predictions, and she's telling me how I'm gonna marry a man with a scar on his face and how we're gonna have a giant wedding. And the funny thing was that I didn't have my ring on because I was like cleaning it that day. And so it was like, is she just looking at me and going for context clues and assuming like I'm an unmarried woman who would want to hear this, or is this some sort of like alternate reality? Because I'm like, none of these things are really accurate. But the energy was still good.
I've never thought about giving any sort of predictions because I usually don't feel that.
Oh, right? I don't know if that's a common part of Reiki.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never heard that before. Interesting. Thank you for sharing that story, though. It's very illuminating about how even in a world that's filled with chaos, we can still silence our minds.
Right? Did you have any other Reiki stories or instances you wanted to share?
No, I do not.
Should we wrap it up then?
Yes, we should wrap it up.
Okay, so that'll wrap up our episode. Thanks for listening, you guys. And as always, you can join us next Wednesday where we're going to be joined with our special guest, Kevin from Diana's Monster. And we're going to be looking into the conspiracy theories on the JFK assassination. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook. And don't forget to check out our blog at cousinscoven.home.blog, where you can find witchy words of wisdom, spells, and our archive podcast episodes. And while you're there, you can sign up for our monthly newsletter, and our current podcast episodes can be found on Podomatic, Spotify, iTunes, and anywhere else podcasts can be found. Send in your cauldron topic ideas, questions, suggestions, or even your paranormal experiences into cousinscoven2@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you.
Yes, and may you find happiness in your heart, love for yourself, and join each other. Blessings to all.
Yay! Damn!